Picked out a story from Denmark. What's going on here?
Well, this is a story reported by Society for Evidence-Based Gender Medicine. Now, the Denmark Medical Association have just produced a paper which is drawing attention to a phenomenon which we've actually seen in this country as well, and lots of Western countries, including Finland and Sweden, which is an exponential rise over a decade of children presenting with gender incongruence or perhaps being diagnosed with gender dysphoria. So the key question now, and we've had a increasing debate in this country as well, is how to treat medically such children. So the increase has been, in Denmark, 4 children referred to a pediatric gender identity clinic in 2014, rising to 352 in 2022. That's an 8,700% increase. But the point of the story is that whilst as recently as 2018, 65% of those children were being referred to a pathway of puberty blockers leading to cross-sex hormones and potentially surgery with potentially life-changing irreversible effects, now that number has gone right down to 6%. So this is very important because there's an increasing debate around the utility, the health benefits and prospective harms, which are considerable, particularly when you take into account detransition rates of minors or teenagers. There is a big debate now about what is the best way to go. And in this country, we've also got something called the Cass review. Hilary Cass has been reviewing the methodology. We've got a consultation out in the NHS as we speak around what paediatric gender clinics should be doing, and we're moving towards, and this is part of that trend, a more holistic approach, psychosocial support being given, and less resort to what people call gender affirmation, which is this irreversible, I would say, experimental use of drugs, which potentially life-changing harmful effects on children. I think this is a very significant development.
Now, people at home might be a little bit surprised to hear that the former deputy leader of the Green Party is saying, sort of, slow down on this stuff. That's a bit out of step with the rest of your party.
Well, firstly, I would say that there's a lot of policy mission creep happens in political parties, and the Green Party is no exception. When you look at our policy, we are very hot on proper due diligence, medical due diligence. Our co-leader, even just last autumn, finally had the guts to talk about the Cass review for the first time I'd heard him talk about it, and evidence-based. So we are an evidence-based political party. We should not be endorsing gender affirmation route if we're looking at the current evidence. So I would say this is wholly in line with Green Party policy, moving towards holistic care, where we're looking at comorbidity as well. There is insufficient research on why there is this exponential trend, girls in particular.
You might say this is in line with Green Party policy. I think there might be some people in the Green Party who would disagree with you.
Well, let them disagree, but let them argue, because I've been able to. I've been able to argue. I mean, this is possibly one of the reasons that I'm facing court with the Green Party next week, because I was unceremoniously removed as a spokesperson just over a year ago.
And do you think that's because you hold more gender-critical beliefs?
Well, I would regard it, put aside what counts as gender-critical, this is a rational, evidence-based piece of research.
You're concerned about children going down
that's the other thing,
where they are affirmed in their gender dysphoria and end up having surgery, puberty blockers. That could prevent them from having children in the future. Irreparable harm, essentially.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're thoroughly sensible. I worry that parties like the Green Party jump on progressive bandwagons and don't always think things through, and they're scared of having rational debate because they don't want to be seen as bigoted or on the nasty side of a particular issue. And I think we've got to be more grown up about that.
100%. And it's the no debate stance which is causing this refusal to look at things in the round, empirically, scientifically, and I think we've got to get beyond that. It doesn't benefit anybody to institute, irrevocable harm potentially on children. And I would say, finally, that of all the vulnerable people in society, children, some of whom may not yet have capacity to consent, they are the ones who deserve to have their welfare and their benefits, health benefits, put front and centre of every politician's mind.
Just finally on this topic, and we will get to Chloe, your story next. I know you've been sitting. But do you think it was your position on these issues around gender that led to you to lose that deputy leadership role within the Green Party?
Well, some of this is going to be cause for litigation, of course, but I will simply say this, is that I challenge, and I've always challenged the assertion, the allegation that I have breached the Speaker's Code of Conduct. And I've been putting, just as an ordinary member, motions to conference which have been found to be properly in order around these topics, because there hasn't been sufficient development of policy in our party. But I was doing that as a member, and I still am a member.
And the challenge is that you broke that code of conduct, but you would say that you did not.
Part of the reason given, in insufficient detail, I won't go into too much detail for obvious reasons, but part of the reason given for my removal as a spokesperson was alleged breach of the Speaker's Code of Conduct, which I challenge, I contest, and I, yeah.
Well, it's a fascinating case, and Shahrar, thank you for going into the detail. And
you're welcome.
Chloe, I hope you don't